What's up, everybody? It's Stuck in Carbonite, and today I want to talk about my experience at JoeFest 2026 in Augusta, Georgia. And I must say, it was absolutely amazing. We had such a great time, my wife and I. I know it's really difficult for her because she's just watching me like a kid in a candy store, bounce from booth to booth, looking at everything. So super thankful that she's able to put up with me, and I'm super thankful that she snagged the tickets for us. We were only able to go one day, and that was the last day, Sunday. And the showroom floor was only open for 3 hours. And it sounds like a lot of time, but I will say those 3 hours went by so incredibly fast. I literally cannot tell you how exactly how it felt, because we went through not even the first half of the showroom floor, and I maybe stopped to talk to a couple of the vendors and people, and I thought we were like 30 minutes in. No, more like a little over an hour. And that's whenever my jets turned on and I was booking it. We like, our goal was to just see everything, and we did, even in the upstairs area. And I know there were some vendors that weren't there and people that I wanted to meet that weren't there at this time, which is fine. But I will say we made the most out of it, and I definitely picked up some really cool things. There were a few things that I definitely wanted to pick up. I mean, it's not just G.I. Joe, guys. There's Star Wars, Transformers, Motu, Turtles, Power Rangers, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Pokemon, Marvel, DC. I mean, the list goes on and on. Whatever you can think of. Barbie, Strawberry Shortcake, Care Bears. I mean, little bit of everything. And that's what makes it really cool, because even if you're not a G.I. Joe fan, a lot of these people are just like toy fans. And a lot of these booths, I mean, it was just like a nostalgia wave hit you. Like as soon as you walked in, there was one guy, I think it was Fantastic Toys was the name of his business. He had a booth where he had a small little TV playing the G.I. Joe cartoon. And the way he had his shelves designed is he put like this cloth on it to make it look very 80s like. And I don't know, it just took me back. I mean, I had to take a picture of it. And I'll share pictures of the stuff I saw. There was like a lot of third-party companies. Well, I don't want to say third-party, but you get what I'm saying. Smaller companies, maybe inspired by G.I. Joe a little bit. So you had like Chosen One, or not Chosen One, or the Chosen Prime, where they have like classified and 3 3/4 like vehicles that are made. I mean, heavily inspired by G.I. Joe vehicles, but their own twist on it. And that was really cool. Like they have their own version of a Skyhawk and a Fang copter that they made for Joe and Cobra that has a cockpit, so it's not just a guy completely open. So that's really cool. Also Skeletron was there, and everybody was over Skeletron, like the Robo Skull stuff. And I see why. I was super tempted. I was gonna buy one of the Red Shadows 6-inch figures of the Troopers, because they just looked freaking perfect. But if I'm not mistaken, I think they're available online, so I might get one of those whenever the funds get back up a little bit. But beautiful figures, beautiful product. They were great. You had Animal Warriors of the Kingdom. They had some pretty cool stuff. I didn't really stop by their booth that long, but really awesome stuff. You had like World War Hell, Boss Fight Studios, where they had like Conan and Red Sonja and like skeleton guys. I mean, really fun stuff. You had Delta 17, which I definitely bought some stuff from them. I was really hoping Carson and 3D Joe's would be there for Operation Recall, but unfortunately he couldn't make it this year. I wanted to stop to, I can't remember the gentleman's name, but the guys that make the command files for G.I. Joe. It's basically, is it command files? I'm drawing a blank, but Commander Bly, Fig Fury, please help me. Don't fry me in the comments. But basically, it's like the unofficial G.I. Joe guide for all the characters and their bios and their specialties and whatnot. So that was pretty cool. I did see his booth there. I'm trying to think of who else that I saw that really stood out. I mean, there's a lot of 3D printers, guys that make accessories and whatnot. They were there. I finally got to see the Toy Federation booth. I got to meet Tony, one of Ryan's friends. If you watch Toy Federation, you know who he is. It was cool seeing him. Didn't really talk to him much. He was pretty busy. I didn't want to bother him. I saw Ken from Toy Connections, the guy who owns Delta 17. And I spoke with his wife, and I think, what's his name? Joe Ricondo. They were super nice. I mean, I cannot stress to you guys how incredibly kind they were. I mean, they were such I mean, just great people. And we just kind of hit it off, just talking about basically the joys of collecting, what makes G.I. Joe special, what makes toys special, all that good stuff. So I guess we'll kind of go into the halls, and hopefully, if I wasn't lazy, you would have seen, some really cool pictures to look at, of the 5 minutes of me yapping. But anyways, we'll start off with that because I think that was one of my first purchases of the day, was going to the Delta 17 booth. I stopped and talked to some of the artists. There were quite a few people that I really wanted to talk to and get some signatures, and I didn't. Like Dan Gilvezan was there, if you know him. He's, in my opinion, most famously Bumblebee in the G1 cartoon, but he's also Spider-Man Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, and he's also Slipstream in G.I. Joe. But I had like the retro G1 Bumblebee on card somewhere. I have no idea where it is. I think I have it in storage, but I really wanted that to be signed by him, and I couldn't find it in time. So wherever it's at, hopefully it's there the next time Dan's around. But I saw him. I didn't talk to him, but I saw him. I saw Sergeant Slaughter. I've already met him twice. So I didn't really stop to talk to him, but I probably should have. But again, we were booking it. So anyways, let's go to Delta 17. I ended up getting the exclusive they have. And just so you know, this is my first experience with Delta 17. I've seen the pictures. I've watched a few reviews. I don't really know too much about the lore. I kind of have like a base level understanding of what the world is that, Delta 17 has created. But I will say, out of all the figures I saw online, these two were the ones I planned on getting in their initial first wave decos. But I got the JoeFest exclusive, which is these characters in like a desert camo. And I'm really glad I went with this, and I'm super biased. But I got the JoeFest exclusive, and just so you know, Delta 17 is like loosely based on G.I. Joe O-ring figures, and they got a real modern feel to it, and I dig that. So I got the War in the Shadows 2-pack. Hopefully the glare is not too bad. But it comes with Shepard and Jaguar. So Jaguar is the villain, this guy over here, and Shepard is a member of Delta 17. Usually he has like a red skull on his mask, but as you can see, it is white, and I dig it because it reminds me of Ghost from Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. So yeah, super biased. But yeah, I'm definitely opening this up. This is not something that's going to be sealed. I definitely want to give these guys a review because they just look awesome. And whenever I felt Shepard, Joe Ricondo was like, hey, he's like, have you ever seen one of these in person? He's like, here you go. Basically handing me the figures, like, mess around with them. And I'm like, I get to play with the toys before I buy them? Like, this is awesome. So that had me sold. I mean, basically, whenever, like, if you're a salesperson within this world of toys and you say, take a look at it, like, play around with it, I'm just like, yeah, I need it now. So yeah, that was cool, and super excited to open these, especially for Shepard because I'm biased. But I will say Jaguar looks pretty cool too, and he has like these arm blades. So yeah, really cool. We got that, and also we got the comic book while we were there too. So I'm definitely going to get it on the lore. Thank you, just really to Delta 17 for doing this. I mean, it's a beautiful looking cover, and I don't think a lot of people understand how difficult it is to get something like this started. I will say it took a bunch of people, and I like how their team is pretty much scattered everywhere. Like Ken, I think he's from Canada, him and his wife, but they got people from like, I think Tennessee, Texas, Florida. They got people like just spread out everywhere. So it's awesome that they were all able to meet for this occasion. But yeah, super excited about Delta 17. Definitely want to give those guys a review because I don't want to say I'm on an O-ring kick, but I'm definitely showing more appreciation for it, and you'll see why in my hauls. So right after Delta 17, I believe it was right after that, as we were walking through vendors and looking at all their stuff, there was one guy we passed that we stopped at for a little bit, and that's where my wife bought one of my birthday presents, even though I got to see it. She bought me the 25th anniversary comic pack of Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow from issue 21, where it has Snake Eyes with the tattered suit where you can see the Arashikage logo and Storm Shadow with like the red cloak. Oh, it's beautiful pack. And this guy had it for a great price. And that same guy had just so many cool things. He had the Star Wars comic packs. Like he had the one of Anakin and Dirge. And I told myself, I was like, I'm going to come back and get that. And I never did because stupid me, silly me. It's whatever. But anyways, on our way there, I brought some books with me to get signed by Larry Hama, if you don't know the guy. So if you watched my Fayetteville Comic-Con video from like 2 years ago, that's where I met Carson from 3D Joe's, and he had like a bunch of G.I. Joe people with him, like Ron Rudat, Larry Hama. He had Jim Shooter, the editor-in-chief at the time. Brian Shearer was there. He was here at this con. Ran into him. I said, what's up? And that's about it. He had some really cool, Brian Shearer had these awesome, what is it called? Like custom sketch work on comic books for like the blank canvas Energon books for G.I. Joe. And I really wanted one, but you know, budget said no. Anyways, I thought this was awesome. So that issue 63 that I bought from Fayetteville Comic-Con, I knew it would come in handy again. I got it signed by Larry. And yes, this one was personalized. So you could get 2 free personalized signatures. So I did that for this book because I love this cover and I already had it. I already had it in stock, you know what I mean? So I just pulled it out of my box, took it with me. The only problem I have is my dummy self was so excited, I forgot the protector for this thing. And, you know, me and the wife, we took a picture with him. Larry was super chill. And the one thing I really wanted to get signed by him, and I can't explain why, but this was the 40th anniversary special that came out a few years ago for G.I. Joe. And if you don't know, it was a hardcover. Basically, it comes with some really famous issues of G.I. Joe Real American Hero. A lot of stuff around Snake Eyes, obviously. Especially issue 21, you know, the silent interlude, which is super popular. It's probably the most famous issue of G.I. Joe ever because it is literally silent. It's just action. And this is a recreation of that cover that, if I'm not mistaken, Larry drew. I just knew I wanted his signature in this book. So I told him, because, you know, it's kind of weird because you open it up and it's black. And I was like, I don't know where you want to sign because he had like a black Sharpie. And I was like, you can sign wherever. If you want to sign on the page, wherever. I said, I just know I want your signature in this book. So he pulled out a gold, and I think that looks pretty tough. So as soon as you open up the book, blank page, boom, there's his signature. So I thought that was cool. And then his, I guess you want to call him manager, that was there helping him, you know, with the monies and lining people up, asking them what they want and getting your name and stuff. He had some sketches, which were basically prints of Larry's artwork. And then he also had comics already bagged with COAs for sale. It says out of Larry's personal collection, but most of these are the Skybound reprints. So I don't know if the book itself is valuable, but I don't care because this is what I wanted originally signed at the Fayetteville Comic-Con convention. This is what I wanted signed by Larry there. I bought this issue, a very beat up copy. And here it is. Issue 14, signed by Larry Hama. This one is not personalized. It was already bagged. And it comes with a COA, and it looks very nice and pretty, the way it's set up, right? And I'm sorry for the glare. But as you can see, this is a Skybound reprint, Skybound image. It would say Marvel up here, and it would show Marvel stuff on the border. But the reason why this is super important to me is because this issue, not only is it the first appearance of Destro, the cover is amazing. You got all these Cobra Troopers everywhere, even though it kind of makes no sense that they're flying and jumping and shooting in all directions. But it also has one of my favorite vehicles of all time, the APC, and one of the very few vintage vehicles I actually own. So yeah, meeting Larry was awesome. I got 3 signed pieces, and I mean, I can't complain. It was epic. So yeah, we got to see him. Didn't get to talk to him much. He was kind of in a hurry, and there was a lot of people waiting for him. So yeah, truly a blessing to see him again. So next, we'll go to my next purchase where we had to go upstairs. And I believe there was a guy selling like VHS stuff there. We missed out on him because I was definitely going to buy Revenge of the Sith on VHS if he had it. but I saw pictures of him, but he was not up there. Also, a guy, as soon as we walked in, what is it, My 2D Heroes, he had like, he was at the front of the venue, but I just want to mention him because I thought what he did was awesome. He had magnets and like giant like cardboard cutouts is what it looked like of classic action figures, mostly. And it's awesome. Like, you can buy a 2-foot tall version of Destro in action figure form as a cardboard cutout. And they were only $20. And you could get like 8 magnets for $20. And the magnets are like maybe yay big. And he had like Motu, Star Wars, you name it. And it was like vintage stuff, modern stuff. It was great. I'll definitely show a picture of his work. Truly astounding. But anyways, as I went upstairs, as we were talking to a guy up there, he had these bins of loose figures in bags. And I saw some vintage, some modern, mix of both, and I just started digging. And the reason why is because I saw some pretty clean figures for a good price, around, 15 bucks a piece. And for a vintage G.I. Joe figure that looks really clean, depending on the character, if you have all their accessories, they can go for $40, $50, $60. You know what I mean? I would say at minimum 20 complete, depending on the character. Okay. I'm not a pro. I'm not a, let's just say I'm not an expert with all the pricing, but I will say I do know kind of what they go for. So I was super excited to find a bunch of vintage characters that I really wanted. And the guy gave me a pretty good deal, but I guess ever since I got back, I've just had problems. not all of them. I'm being over dramatic, but we'll just get into it. So the first one, and I just realized that he had an issue, but I was super excited because I didn't see him up until this point. And I was like, I'm not going to find him cheaper than this. So I'm all about deals. But 84 Roadblock. Look how awesome that is. Now, he's laying in the bag like this with his gun, and there's a helmet in there. And I know this is not his helmet because it doesn't fit his head. But, the original figure came with a helmet, but I doubt this is his because it doesn't fit right. Maybe it is. Maybe I'm just stupid. But I thought this figure looked clean. So, I'm just focused on the figure because I see a perfect Roadblock from the front. Now, I did not notice that his gun has like white paint splatter all over it. And this was a bummer. And this is what I found out literally not too long ago. He has a broken heel. So yeah, that's a bummer. But I bought it for my wife because Roadblock is her favorite Joe. So yeah, there's Roadblock. Even though he's busted from the front, the dude is super clean. Next, I got Law and Order. No accessories, but I did get Law, who is, literally in like almost pristine shape. And Order. The guy had him labeled as $15, but I was like, that's just too good to be true. So, I just snagged it. He also had an Outback, and this one's not complete, but a complete Outback goes for a lot of money. And considering the amount of money I would have paid for a complete vintage Outback, I was like, I better not go stupid. So I saw this one in his bin, and he's loose, nothing. And the Survival logo is a little bit gone right here at the bottom of this V, but for the most part, it's intact. So, if you played with your Outback, normally this is gone. So I am super thankful to have found a decent looking Outback. Again, not perfect, but decent. And he's missing the flashlight. He's missing all the accessories, but I don't care because I just want this guy. And I got him. Same thing with this Tunnel Rat. He has like a cracked elbow, which is very common with vintage Joes. You just got to look out for it. But, again, if I were to pay for a complete vintage one, 40, 50 bucks maybe. I don't know what Tunnel Rat goes for. But now his gun is a little banged up, but still, he comes with his original weapon. And the handle is just, it looks like it's been, I don't know, like the plastic's been rubbing against it. It's a little rough, but again, I can't complain for the price I paid. And the guy cut me a deal. He literally cut $25 off of my total. So I can't be mad. And he comes with this giant backpack, missing the flashlights. But again, I don't care because vintage tunnel rat for a decent price. I'm not going to complain. And then next up, we got the Techno Viper, who is pretty freaking clean. Obviously, he's got some paint blemishes. The head's a little loose. But so far, I mean, most of these guys, they feel good. The joints are tight. They're solid. Obviously, this guy's missing a lot of stuff. But again, he still had one of his tools, backpack, and his little laser weapon. So I'm not complaining. And the Cobra logo is in pretty good shape. Again, a few little marks, but you got to think about it. Vintage toys are played with. And considering that they have so many pieces, and to get a complete one, you would pay this, I was willing to make that sacrifice. So I got it. And then I also got this random accessory that nobody likes, that's supposed to have like a hose connected to it. If you know who this goes to, bam, Dr. Mindbender. I saw a Dr. Mindbender in there with the cape for a price that I was incredibly shocked at. Now, the cape is not in the best condition. It's a little tattered, but the Cobra logo is still on there. And again, I'm not going to be, beating these guys to death. I'm not going to be, these are literally just for my own little personal display that I want to build. And I'm just super stoked that I have it. Sorry, guys, had to cut it right there for a second. But anyways, back to Dr. Mindbender. Again, super stoked to have him. And for the price, I mean, I know Dr. Mindbender goes for, way more than what I saw him for, okay? And I know that, like, complete, it would have been just a stupid amount and something that I wasn't willing to pay for. So the fact that I have a version of him that is pretty freaking clean, I can't complain. And the biggest shock to me, and honestly, my pull for the year, was this. Well, if I can pick them up correctly, sorry. Tomax and Zaymont, the Crimson Twins. This guy had them labeled for 25 bucks. I know they're not the most valuable vintage figures, and I know you can get them as a pair, loose, maybe just the figures alone, around 25 bucks or 30 bucks or whatever, 40 depending on condition. But considering that these guys are almost immaculate, I mean, Cobra symbols intact, no wear, like honestly at all. The hair, there's no paint scratched off. There's slight little marks here on the arm from probably where he was shoved in a vehicle or whatever. And, Tomex has a few little splotches of silver paint, and that's probably from the factory. But again, for a set from, what was it, 85 to be in this great a condition with their weapons, and even though it's not complete, but the little zipline piece, no string, I don't care. But the fact that I got the Crimson Twins and their weapons for 25 bucks is just stupid to me. I can't get over that. And along with the vintage stuff, this is where I got mad last night. This guy had this in the pile for 10 bucks. If you don't know, this is Data Viper or Data Viper, however you want to say it. He came out in the Retaliation line. If I'm not mistaken, the last wave, it was called, a lot of people coined it as like the ultimate versions, but this was a brand new character. And he is awesome. He has like these weird laser hands. He's got a Predator drone that you can literally take off his pack and it folds out. It has guns. You can take off the guns and put them in his hands and he can use them as like giant pistols. He's got like this weird drone looking Juggernaut helmet. He's got rocket packs. I'm sorry. He's just so top heavy right now. He's got this weird fin, a satellite dish, super cool figure. And I was super stoked to find him for 10 bucks. And I know he's not a super expensive figure. I think you could probably find him online for maybe 15, 20 bucks on average. But for 10 bucks complete in really great shape, I was ecstatic. But as soon as I got home, I was trying to bend this right arm, and guess what it did? It snapped right at the peg. So I had to super glue it, and now his arm's just always straight. But you know what? I'm not going to complain. Like I said, a bunch of cool figures for great prices, so this is just a minor setback. And while it was cut, the wife brought, my birthday present that I can't have on display right now until it's my birthday. But this is that pack I was talking about. Super cool. And if I'm not mistaken, the issue that it does come with is the Silent Interlude, issue 21. Yep. So it does come with issue 21 with this cool cover of Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow dueling it out. So yeah, really awesome. Just a cool set that I finally have. And I'm not going to open it. I can't. To me, that just, man, that brings me back. So yeah, that was awesome. And then my last purchase of the day was this one booth, and they're known. I think is it the toy department? I think it's the toy department. I could be wrong, and I'm so sorry if I butchered that. But they are notorious for these giant Joe bins, and they just have a bunch of vintage figures piled in these giant totes that are like a foot deep, and you just see people on their hands and knees digging through these totes because it's $5 a pop. So you can buy, 5 Joes, $25, and we're talking vintage. And now, by the time I got there, I didn't see really anything that stuck out to me, and most of them were pretty beat up, so I didn't find any clean ones. And, a few other people had some cheap Joe bins like that, roughly $5 to $10 a pop. But, I mean, these guys had a freaking buttload of them. So I dug through those a bit, but right beside it, there were bins that many people weren't going through. And I was like, why is that? Modern Joe. They just called it the Modern Joe bins. And what I loved about these bins, and just so you know, Modern Joe is like 3 3/4, mid 2000s, I would say, like 25th anniversary, all the way up to probably about 2015-ish, 2014. And it was 3 for $20. And now looking back, I should have gone stupid because there were so many good figures from Pursuit of Cobra. Not much, but just a handful of Pursuit of Cobra figures. There weren't any bangers in there like the expensive ones, but there was a few. There was Rise of Cobra, the movie, Retaliation. I know a lot of people don't like that, but Rise of Cobra had some banging figures. Love that line. There was 25th anniversary. Might have already said that. Sorry. There was some of the retro ones from like the 2020 waves whenever they did that, but really hardly any of that. But I was all over this. First one I picked up that I knew I had to have. Resolute Cobra Commander. I mean, he came out of a figure pack, and I know he's not worth much, but holy crap, I needed this because look how awesome that is. Yeah, Resolute Cobra Commander. Had to. Then I have the Pursuit of Cobra Commander. I bought 2 Cobra Commanders because I always wanted this version too. I thought this version looked sick. This is like a perfect modernization of the classic character in a darker shade of blue with a cool cape. Even though I can't get it to sit right, looks pretty good. Can't complain. All of his accessories are in there. He's complete. And the one that had me, because see, I picked up those 2 and I was like, I got to get another one. And I was about to buy a Cobra Viper, but I already have like 3. I don't need another one. Maybe I do need another one. But you get what I'm saying? I saw Cobra Vipers. I was like, oh, I want to get that, but I don't want that to be my third. I don't want to spend all my money here, blah, 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 blah. But I probably should have. But this one I had to get, and sorry, his gun just fell out. But this one, once I saw it, I knew he could not stay there. This is the 25th anniversary. Oh my gosh, I still can't believe I'm saying this. The 25th anniversary Outback. And oh my God, how awesome is that? Such a cool figure. He's not in like perfect condition, but it's pretty dang close. And yeah, I don't care if he's loose. I think loose this guy goes for 30 alone online. So whenever I saw him in the bin, I was like, not even value based. I just knew I wanted him because I don't have a 3 3/4 Outback. Well, I bought 2 in one day, but you get what I'm saying. Like, I didn't have this character growing up and I always wanted him in this style. And I found him in a Joe bin for 3 for $20. So basically, I got 3 figures less than the price of 1. Like, my brain is having a hard time, calculating that. But anyways, I better quit yapping. But that was my hauls. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I really enjoyed JoeFest. I had a blast. I thought it was super fun. I highly encourage you, even if you are just remotely into G.I. Joe, even if your knowledge of G.I. Joe is vague, but if you like nerd stuff, you definitely need to go to this convention. Because, like I said, a lot of superhero stuff as well, a lot of vintage stuff. It was really cool. Even though there were like a lot of pieces that I wanted vintage-wise that were out of my, out of my reach. Let's put it that way. That I was restricted because of budget. It's still cool to see it in person, man. And, I don't really have anywhere near me where I can see that much vintage goodies at once. So that was really cool. So yeah, if you're nearby Augusta, Georgia, show up next year. If you're a huge Joe fan and you've been contemplating it for years, just go. I think you enjoy it. Next year, I would like to go for a whole weekend or at least more than one day, but we'll see. Anyways, guys, hope you enjoyed this. Sorry for yapping so much, but I really wanted to just hit home, just let you guys know that this is a great place. This is a cool convention, a lot of cool people, and it's one of those where you can kind of talk and make friends with anybody there, and you're not sandwiched in like sardines at GalaxyCon or WonderCon or DragonCon, whatever. This one felt like you belong there. I don't know how to explain that, but it just felt good. Anyways, hope you guys have a good rest of your day. Gosh, if I can speak. And remember, stay frosty.